She met him on a Tuesday, just after the rain had stopped. The gutters were still swollen and the air smelled of wet dust and promise. Ada had just lost her second job in 6 months and was standing under the shade of a kiosk when the sleek black car pulled up. The man who stepped out was tall, clean-shaven, and dressed in native wear that whispered wealth. He didn't speak much, just handed her a clean white envelope and said, "For your transport. Meet me here tomorrow, same time." She should have asked more questions. But hunger doesn't leave room for curiosity. The envelope contained 20,000 naira. No number. No name. Just the envelope. And for the first time in weeks, she slept with a full stomach. When she returned the next day, he was waiting. This time, he offered jollof rice in takeaway packs and another envelope. She ate in silence. He watched her silently too, but never took off his sunglasses, even though they sat under the shade. "Why me?" she finally asked. "Because I see you," he replied. She smiled, nervously. "You didn't even ask for anything." He leaned in slightly. "Not yet." The first time she went to his house, she thought she had entered a hotel. Marble floors, scented hallways, glowing chandeliers, the kind of place that swallowed silence whole. He led her to a guest room and said she could rest. She waited for him to touch her. He never did. Instead, he left another envelope on the table and said, "You may go." She returned every weekend. Same routine. Silence. Envelope. No questions. No touching. He never let her close, not physically. If she moved toward him, he took a step back. He'd offer wine but drink none. Always fully dressed. Always with those dark sunglasses. Once, she tried to touch his face playfully. He grabbed her wrist, not roughly, but with enough weight to warn her. "Don't ever do that again," he said, voice low. She should have left. But how do you walk away from a man who fills your fridge, your stomach, and your life with temporary peace? And then, she began to wonder if she had become his kept pet. Not a lover. Not a friend. Just something he maintained. But there were moments, tiny ones, when she caught him looking at her with something close to pity. Or was it guilt? She started noticing the room at the end of the corridor. It was always locked. Wooden, with faded carvings around the edges like something from a shrine. One day she heard a sound from inside, something dragging. Something heavy. Like flesh against stone. She asked him, "What's in that room?" He looked at her too long. "My past. You don't want to know." Another day, she woke up in the guest room feeling like something had touched her leg. She looked down, nothing. But her skin itched for hours. And then came the dreams. Snakes. Red eyes. Long corridors. Whispers in languages she didn't understand. She stopped sleeping. Her body thinned. Her spirit dimmed. But the envelopes kept coming, thicker now. And her mother's medical bills were getting paid. Her siblings in school. Her rent never late. Every time she considered leaving, something reminded her poverty is loud. It scratches at your dignity like claws. She spoke less. Smiled less. Even her laughter began to sound like someone else's voice. One night, curiosity won. He had stepped out to take a call. The house was quiet. Too quiet. The door at the end of the corridor stood slightly open. She approached it slowly, heart pounding. Each step felt like betrayal. She pushed the door wider. There was no light switch. Just candlelight flickering from the floor. And in the center of the room lay something coiled, massive, glistening, breathing. A snake. But not like any snake she had ever seen. Its scales shimmered like polished onyx. It had no eyes. Just dark sockets that somehow saw her. It lifted its head. The room grew colder. She didn't scream. She couldn't. Her legs betrayed her. Her mouth dried up. Then she heard his voice behind her. "You weren't supposed to see this." He stepped into the room, no sunglasses now. His eyes were grey. Not blind, just tired. Ancient. He knelt beside the creature. Whispered to it like a lover. It curled into his side. "I feed it peace," he said. "And it gives me wealth. But it needs warmth too." She blinked. Warmth. His face didn't change. A body. Human. Not to eat, to lie with, to bond. Only once every 7 years. Tonight was the night. She staggered back. You wanted me to sleep with a snake. He nodded, solemnly. I chose you. Because you were broken. And the broken ones rarely resist comfort. She slapped him. Hard. Her hand stung. But his cheek remained still. I never touched you, he whispered. I gave you time. Choice. The snake hissed softly, almost sadly. She turned to run. She ran through the house, past the chandeliers and marble. But before she reached the main door, she stopped. Her mind raced. Her mother. Her siblings. The mounting bills. Her dreams of owning a salon. They all screamed behind her eyes. She turned back. When she entered the candlelit room again, her voice trembled. Will it hurt me? He looked surprised. No. Not if you surrender. She stood silently, then nodded. Slowly, trembling. He placed a red cloth on the floor, murmured words in a language she didn't know. The snake uncoiled, slithered toward her. Ada shut her eyes. The room went cold, then warm, then something in between. The candle flames shifted. The ground felt far beneath her feet. And then, darkness. She woke up on a bamboo mat in an empty room. No snake. No man. No mansion. Just a single note pinned to her chest. You made the sacrifice. You now have the gift. At first, she thought it was a joke. But when she returned home, her sick mother stood up and walked. Her siblings got scholarship offers within days. Her bank account began to receive anonymous deposits. She opened a salon, and within a year, franchised it across 3 cities. Everyone said she was lucky, blessed, touched. But at night, when the moon rose, she heard hissing. And in her dreams, she slithered instead of walking. One day, she looked in the mirror and saw something behind her eyes, dark, watching, waiting. She tried to ignore it. She prayed, fasted, visited a pastor in Ibadan who said she had opened a portal. Another one in Onitsha gave her a bottle of anointing oil and said, be careful what you sleep with. It never leaves empty-handed. But it was too late. She had become the vessel. Not for wealth, but for the next offering. She began to feel drawn to places she had once avoided, bus stops at night, roadside markets, slums. The creature inside her whispered names. She started spotting broken girls like she once was. And when one knocked on her office door, hungry and desperate, Ada smiled softly and reached for the first envelope. The girl was young, barely 20. She had fire in her eyes, the same fire Ada once had before it got dimmed by survival. Eat first, Ada said, handing her rice. She watched the girl eat quickly, tears in her eyes, hope slipping quietly back into her bones. Why me? She asked, licking the spoon. Ada didn't answer. She only whispered, because I see you. That night, she took the girl to a guest room. Told her to rest. She stood outside the locked door for minutes that stretched like hours, her heart strangely still. The snake waited. Outside, the sky rumbled. Inside her chest, something coiled with joy. And in the quiet that followed, the cycle began again.